Now that we're getting more comfortable with JavaScript, it's time to learn about a more theoretical concept. And that's the difference between statements and expressions. And this is going to be just a very high-level overview, just so that the future lectures make more sense. So essentially, an expression is a piece of code that produces a value. For example, 3 plus 4 is an expression, because this is going to produce a value. Okay, so I don't even mean the entire line of code. What I mean is really just this 3 plus 4. This is an expression, okay? And again, because it does produce a value. The same goes, for example, for just any number. This, for example, is an expression too, even though it's just a simple value. But it's still also an expression, because again, this itself will produce a value in JavaScript. Or we can do this. So true and false and not false. So all of this here is an expression, right? Because this will in the end produce some Boolean value. Now, on the other hand, we have statements. And a statement is like a bigger piece of code that is executed and which does not produce a value on itself. And we can compare this with normal spoken language. And so in this example, a declaration is like a complete sentence, and expressions are like the words that make up the sentences. Now, basically, we write our whole programs as a sequence of actions, and these actions are statements. So let's take as an example the if-else statement. So let's say if 23 is greater than 10, then, well, just do something. So create a string called 23 is bigger. The code itself doesn't really matter here. So this if-else statement is in fact a statement. And so that's the reason why I have called it the if-else statement all the time. And the same is true for the switch statement. So this statement here doesn't really produce a value, does it? All it does is, in this case, it simply declares this variable called str. But that's it. It performs some actions, in this case declaring this variable, but it doesn't produce a value. And so in that, it's different from, for example, having this here. Okay? Now the string itself, again, is an expression. So this is probably a bit confusing, but that's not a problem, okay? My goal here is not that you understand the exact rules of what an expression is and what a statement is, because in fact, it's all a bit fuzzy. So my main goal with this lecture is really that you know that statements and expressions exist, and that expressions produce values, and that statements are like full sentences that translate our actions. So the actions that we want the program to perform, okay? So really, that's all you need to know and all you need to basically memorize from this video. We don't need to go into all the details. So there's no need to start asking a bunch of questions about this in the Q&A section, all right? So this will all make even more sense as we move on. So I said that this string here is itself an expression, and then this whole line of code is a statement, because this again does not produce a value. And so basically, whenever something ends with a semicolon, that's then a statement. It's like a complete sentence, okay? Now this difference between expressions and statements is important to know because JavaScript expects statements and expressions in different places. For example, in a template literal, we can only insert expressions, but not statements. So let me just very quickly demonstrate that to you. So we can say, I'm, and then our placeholder here, basically. And so in here, we need to put an expression. So something that produces a value, which can then be put into the string that we're building here using the template literal. So let's say, just to do some calculations here, so 2037 minus 1991 years old. So again, this is an expression here. And so this one will work. However, we cannot do this. For example, we could not insert this if statement in here. That wouldn't make any sense at all. Okay, let's try that. And so we actually get right away unexpected token if. And that's because JavaScript knows that this is a statement, and statements don't make sense where JavaScript expects an expression. Now, if we had a variable, for example, then if we used that here, then this would actually also be an expression, because this variable will essentially just be replaced with this string. And so this produces a value, and so of course, this is completely acceptable. Okay, and that's actually all I had to show you in this video. Again, my goal was really just to make sure that you kind of understand the difference between expressions and declarations, so that moving forward, we are really both on the same page here.